They help if I leave? I'm leaving. Okay, everybody. I figure as many calls as we've gotten from people saying, "Are you guys okay?" I would take you around and let you see what I see first thing in the morning. See if we're all okay. And the first thing I saw was Alyssa trying to get Joseph to come over to his feeding lockout. But he was too interested in the camera here. So I'm going to go around to the side where he's supposed to be fed, and hopefully he'll come around there to look at the camera and to eat his breakfast. Lots of water standing, as you can see. Can you guys hear him? Wade through the water here. I just want to see you slog around in the water for me. Okay, I guess that's not where he's supposed to eat this morning. Or maybe she needs to put the food in. I guess that's probably it. Yeah, is he gonna have some breakfast? You keeping your fur dry? Connie says my volume needs improving, so let me try something here. Okay, I hope that fixed the volume for everyone. Good morning, Dale Sullivan. Yeah, I know, it's hard to tell where the cage walls are sometimes. They're painted that brown color so that they disappear into the background, but it also makes it hard to tell who's on which side. We can always safely assume you are not in the cage with the cat, though.
I was not. I'm still alive in here, so no, I was not.
Were there meds in that?
He had Cosequin mixed in it. What are you talking about? The thing he's doing with his mouth?
Yeah.
We found that all of the lions do it. Nikki and Cameron do it as well. Don't really know why. I thought it was a chicken porter thing, but he's got red, so I guess not. But all the lions do it. And once they do it, they usually drink water and then they're done. Hopefully not.
Clearly, Alyssa knows her lions. They're really fussy about food. So, back to checking on the cats and seeing how they're doing with the water. Vacation rotation enclosure looks a lot better today than it did yesterday. Good morning. You're right, Melissa. He doesn't want to eat. The lions and tigers can eat about 10 to 20 pounds a day, but as of lately, the male lions, at least, Joseph and Cameron, have only been eating about 5 pounds a day, and that's not too uncommon in the summer because it's so hot. And then when it rains, they don't want to eat because they don't want to stand out in the rain. So yesterday it was raining at feeding time, which made me think that everybody'd be pretty hungry this morning because we're catching a break in the rain. But they're still being pretty fussy. So what happens then is the keepers will go around, pick up the food that they didn't eat, and hello, Cameron, and offer them some more food later on. We can't leave it in the cages because the vultures will steal it, and if vultures get any kind of reward for being here, then they just won't go away. Susan Cushley, we have a great volunteer program. If you go to bigcatrescue.org well, I don't know /what. If you go to bigcatrescue.org, up at the top, there's a button called Get Involved, and there's lots of ways to get involved. You can volunteer on site if you live in the area. You have to put in at least 4 hours a week, though. And you can volunteer as an intern. Interns live on the property for 3 months at a time. It's a very competitive program, though, because we take only the very best of the best applicants. So if that's something you're interested in, you might want to check out zoocollege.com. And we're also this summer doing a first time ever 1 week volunteer program. So you can come and volunteer for a week, but what you have to do first is you have to graduate Zoo College, ZOOCOLLEGE.com, zoocollege.com. That costs you $9 a month, and we've had a number of people that actually completed the 50 classes in the first month. So what you can do then is apply to be one of our 1 week volunteers. And again, that's a very competitive process, and it costs you some money because we have to have somebody with you the entire time. We can't just let you wander around loose. It's too dangerous, as you can see. You can stick your arm into a cage like that and lose it. So we have to make sure that you always have somebody with you that understands that we never touch the cats here. Annette, you can't help for just a day on a vacation, but like I just got through talking about there, you can come for a week if you meet all the criteria, which means you have to pass Zoo College with a passing score, which means 80 or better on all of the tests, and there's 50 classes. And there's a charge as well that covers the cost of us having somebody with you the entire time. I forget what it is off the top of my head, but if you go to bigcatrescue.org/ I forget what it's called. If you just search for stay vacations or staycations, vacations, you should be able to find it on our website. Just stick your tongue out at me. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so you can see he's staying dry. And his cage is nice and dry. And Zabu must be in the den because I don't see her out. Let's go see how the rest of the cats are doing. The lake is up very high. We're very fortunate to have this 18-acre lake right in the middle of the sanctuary. So when it rains, that's where everything drains to, is the lowest part of the property. But if you look at, we'll try and do this left-handed, which might be a little wiggly. You see where those reeds are? Those are usually like on the edge of the water, and now you can see there's water between them and the lake bank. So that's how far up the water has come. It looks like maybe good 4 feet that it's raised. But the benefit of that, is that it's not in the cages. Miss Kali, are you staying dry? Kali Tiger is dry. Chicken chef? Who is that? I am live. Is this something you can say live on Facebook?
Oh, I was going to just say if you wanted a shot of our pumps and what we're evacuating anytime, let me know. Just
That would be very cool.
the water gushing out.
I would like that.
I'll meet you by the cell tower in a little while.
Okay.
Okay.
That's my brother, Chuck. And he's using some pumps to help move this water away from the cats to the lake. Oh, there's Zeus. Gotta go check on Zeus. Hello, sweet boy. Oh, who's a good tiger? You nice and dry? Any of these cats that you want to know more about their story, just go to bigcatrescue.org/catbio, CATBIO. I apologize for coughing. Whenever we're working on a cage, we stick a sign on it that says empty cage. That way, the indicator to our people that a cage is empty is we turn the water bowls upside down. But also, if we're doing some work in the cage, we will stick that empty cage sign so that people are absolutely certain before they walk in a cage that it is empty. There's no way for them to get in a cage without either Jamie, Gail, or I, and it has to be two of us, opening the cage, and they're all locked behind 3 keyed locks. Good morning, Chitaro. This is Chitaro. Did you have breakfast? Are you staying dry? Mm-hmm. So you can see there's some water pooling at the bottom of his ramp there. I bet the rest of his cage is pretty dry. He's got that big hill back there he can get up on. Sorry about all the throat clearing. I smoked from the time that I was 15 until I was 30 and 55 now and still coughing all the time. Hello! This is Sassy and Rusty. They are caracals. Looks like Sarah is training a new intern. Rusty has come into his feeding area for breakfast. I think that's Rusty. Yeah, that's Rusty. And what she's trying to do is help him get his food back up on the platform there, because they're sloppy eaters. And in the background you can see up on the platform is Sassy, his mate. There's water standing between the cages, and it's designed that way. We raise the elevation of the cages, and then the dens are even higher, so you can see how this den is even so much higher than the cage around it. And then the wet areas are out here where the keepers are walking. Looks like she's trying to give him some medication on a stick, so I'm going to leave the area. And if I'm not answering your questions, I apologize, but I'm walking and driving and can't quite get to them all. Susan, you asked about the mosquito population. We spray regularly for the mosquitoes, so we don't have a terrible problem with them. I also use natural insect repellent, and we provide a number of different types of repellents for our guests and for our volunteers who are out working with the cats. Here again you can see there's lots of water standing on the outside of the cage, but inside the cage it's all nice and dry. And then Nikita, because lions hate the water, hate the rain, she's up as high as she can get from it. Looks like you got a little rain on your back, girlfriend. Yeah, you got rained on. But her feeding block is empty, so that tells me she came down and ate. She is a good eater. Well, thank you, everybody who says they're thinking of us and praying for us with this hurricane out in the, well, what is it, tropical storm, Hermine, out in the Gulf. We just sweat bullets every time something like that happens. And all of our cats are locked up today in their roof section. Part of our critical disaster plan is that if the winds get up over 30 miles an hour, the cats are all called into the roofed areas of their cages. Some of our open air cages have both an open air side and a roof side, and so we bring them into the roof side because if a tree goes down in an open air cage, that could just make a ramp out of the cage, so that would be dangerous. But as Jamie was pointing out to me this morning, another thing that we look for is how much has it been raining, because sometimes it's not the wind that'll bring down a tree, it's that the ground has become so saturated that it just falls over. And here you can see the way our cages are built. There's a tree inside. It's anchored to the cage at the top. And so when we have had hurricanes come through, it's apparently worked really well as an anchor for our trees because it keeps them anchored in place. We went to a lot of places after those hurricanes struck back in, it's probably been a decade ago now, and so many places just lost all or most of their trees, and we only lost a couple and those were trees that were on the outside of the cages because our cages anchor down our trees. Is that a good breakfast? That's a very good breakfast, Running Bear. That's Running Bear. And over there is Little White Dove. And right now they're separated because it's breakfast time. But as soon as he's through eating, they'll open up the doors and let them back together. Melissa, we've never had a cat get out due to a storm, thankfully. The worst that happened was, again, during those hurricanes. And there was a tree that fell on a cage from the outside. And when it does that, it bends the cage like a Coke can. But thankfully, it did not create any kind of a breach in the top of the cage that would allow the cats to get loose. Hi. Sundari staying dry. Sundari just got a brand new den. Lots of sand so she can get in there. It's high above the rest of the area of her cage, but she's enjoying her platform because leopards like to be up high. Is there a bug? Get that bug. Gonna have that bug for breakfast. Liza, we are at 12802 Easy Street, Tampa, Florida. Today's Thursday, so we're closed, but we're open the other days of the week. We do a 3 p.m. tour every day but Thursday. This is Sundari that we were just looking at, and she's playing with her chicken. Even though the cats are fed in their lockouts, they're not locked in the lockouts while they're feeding. So, unfortunately, a lot of them will drag their food into their dens and into the cages, and it's a Easter egg hunt an hour from now as the keepers all go around trying to figure out where they hid all their food. This cage was just renovated for her, so it doesn't have a lot of plant life growing in it, but give it a couple of weeks and that'll come back. Back in the back, you can see they added beach sand. A lot of the cats are really enjoying beach sand, so that whole back area there is beach sand. And then this den is ridiculously high, but being a leopard, she's going to love that. Over here is Jade. Hi, Jade. Jade's staying nice and dry in her little den. Lisa, thank you for visiting us in 2012. Glad you loved the tour. Dorothy, we've never had the enclosures flood entirely, thankfully. We are pretty far inland, so we've never had a storm surge bring water up this far. Not saying it's not possible, but it hasn't happened yet. Teresa, we don't have cement buildings to put the animals in, and really don't want them, because anything like that has a wall that can catch the wind, if like if you look at these cages, if you think about what a hurricane is, it's wind and rain. The wind's going to go right through this wire, so there's nothing to catch the wind and cause it to topple over or to implode on itself. And the rain just falls right through the roof and drains out into the keeper area so that we get to slog around in the mud. But if you had them inside a building, there's always that chance of the building collapsing on them, or a tornado hitting that building and ripping it all to shreds, and then you've got animals loose or injured. Whereas even with a tornado, it's mostly wind. So a wind going through that wire, I don't think it's going to capture enough of the wind to be able to rip it out of the ground. And if you look at how our cages are full of foliage, all those roots from all that grass and those trees and all of the palmetto bushes and all the other kinds of bushes that we have in the cages, those all help anchor the cage to the ground. We've had tornadoes come through here because we've seen trees that were not inside our cages that were just picked up and dropped other places at the property. So the fact that that has happened in such close proximity without harming any of our cages tells us that this design is pretty awesome when it comes to weathering a Florida storm. It would also be a good style for places that are up where it snows. It doesn't snow here. It gets cold like 2 days a year here. But the snow would fall right through. Whereas I've seen other facilities where snow comes onto the roof, a solid roof, and collapses the entire enclosure, which is frightening. Well, how about that? I just found my mother's credit card on my golf cart. I bet she's looking for that. Must have fallen out of her pocket. Kashif, we have 71 cats. If you go to bigcatrescue.org/updates, I just a couple of days ago in the updates posted a list of all of the cats by species. So it'll tell you how many lions, how many tigers, how many caracals, how many servals, and the total, of course. It also gives you a breakdown on their ages. I think there's like 24 cats right now that are over the age of 20. And that's pretty remarkable given the fact that in most other places they only live to be 10 or 12. Over there you can see Jumanji is up high and dry on his platform. It's very wet out here, but nice and dry out there. And the floor of his cage is dry. Oh, don't come down, son. I don't have anything for you. He's so old. That's a big effort on his part. Again, water in the keeper area, but the circle is nice and dry. Hey, Nala. Can you guys hear the lions roaring in the background? You're such a sweet leopard. Everybody loves Jumanji. Hey there, achy old cat. I love the sound of the lions, Ellen. Oh, thank you for posting the URL to bigcatrescue.org/updates. So he's seen I have nothing in my hand, so there's just no point in coming down. And then his feeding area is over there. Surely you've already been fed. Oh, almost fell into the cart. Frosty. Here's Frosty. Frosty's staying dry. Doing okay? I know, there's so many birds here. When people come on tours, it's always funny, especially if they're from like other states or other countries that don't have the enormous number of birds that we have here in Florida, that they'll be out there taking pictures of the birds instead of the cats. I'm gonna go see Saber. I love you. This is Saber, and if you do the math, he's 24 years old. Hey there, old man. He's got nice white sand added to his cage recently, and he just loves the way that feels. It just seems to be a little bit cooler than the regular earth that's usually in their cages. But here again, you can see his den is all nice and dry in there. And he's got the platform where he can get up higher if he wants. Or he's got a den way back there in the background that you can see, and it's elevated as well. And all the water is confined to the areas where we walk around the cages, and some on the tour path here. I don't see Cricket, but you can see her dens are higher than the water. She could be in the one up front, or she could be in that hill back there. Ginger over there is spraying her territory, which is what cats do all the time. Pee all over that bush. It's the number one reason people get rid of their exotic pets. The breeders will lie to you and tell you that if you raise it in the house, it's going to be just like the family dog, and it's going to love you and your children. And the truth is that when it gets to be an adult, it's going to chase your children and dog. It's going to see them as food. And the main reason people get rid of them, surprisingly, that's not a big enough deterrent, but the main reason is these guys are hardwired to protect many square miles of territory. And the way they do that is marking it, because cats don't want to fight with each other in the wild. That could be a fight to the death, and that's bad. So what they do is they mark their territory to let everybody know, this is mine, stay away. And the way they do that is through peeing on everything. So they are equipped to pee all day long. And if you have them in your house, you're never going to get that out of your drywall. You're just going to have to get rid of the drywall. And if you have them in your yard is going to smell like a sewer inside of a few weeks. And it's never coming out of the ground. That's why these cages are as large as they are and open at the top so that the rain can wash that scent somewhat, but you can still smell the cats. And it doesn't matter if they're male or female, neutered or spayed, doesn't matter how young you do it, they all spray bucket loads of urine. And the same thing is true of the hybrids. So that was Servy that we saw back there. We just moved Zimba next door to Zuletta. This is the other end of Cricket's cage all the way down here. Some of these cages, well, our smallest cage is like 1,200 square feet. The largest one's like 3,600 square feet. And if you go to our webpage at bigcatrescue.org/cages, you can kind of see how those are built, how they're laid out for the cats. Christy, I'm glad you're loving this. There you can see how much higher the den is. There's some water standing in the cage, but they've got lots of space where they can stay dry. And there's Servy back there in the background. That handsome man right there. Hey, Zimba. That's Zimba. We don't see him a lot. It's Zimba. And almost all of our cats follow the same kind of naming pattern. So if you hear me call out somebody's name, if you go to bigcatrescue.org/ whatever that name is, in his case, Zimba, then you can find their rescue story and photos of them and sometimes videos. So see that wall that he's up against right there? Usually this is all one cage from here all the way down to where you can see that last guillotine door. But over there, actually, you can see Zuletta walking. She's underneath the platform. Zuletta and Zimba were rescued with Zool, Santino, and Doodles. They were all being kept in a basement in New York. Tiny little cruddy dungeon-looking cell in a basement in New York. And so when we brought them here, we had them all together, and they hated each other. The only two who liked each other were Zuletta and Santino, so they had this cage for a long time. And then Santino has died, and so has Zool and Doodles. And so Zimba and Zuletta are the last two. And so we thought, well, maybe since she's all weepy over Santino, if we brought back a friend that she knew next to her, maybe they would like each other. So what we're waiting for, he's like, yes, I would like her. I would like her very much. I always liked her. Santino just got in the way. What we're waiting for is for her to start sleeping next to him. If she starts coming up onto that den of ferns behind him and laying as close as she can to him, we have a real fine mesh on that wire so they can't reach through and hurt each other. But if we see that they're sleeping next to each other and acting like they really want to be together, then we'll open up the door and she'll have some company. Meanwhile, she at least has somebody right next door that she knows, and we're hoping that that's going to help get her through the depression. That is Sassafras the cougar's den. What are you doing, Sassafras? Why are you sitting in your feeding area? Were you saying something, Zimba? Did you say rah? Rah? Yeah, do you remember Zuletta? Do you love her? I know, she was the only girl in your whole pack. Maybe she will say she likes you, and then we can open the door. He's like, I know you could open the door right now, lady. She's playing coy. Hard to get. I don't even see you, Zimba. I'm over here just checking out my hill and my grass. You can see there's water standing outside her cage next to the wall, but her cage is mostly dry. And she's got this big hill she can get on. You're so silly sitting in your feeding lockout. And there you can see that the den is elevated above the rest of the terrain. It's kind of hard to see that actually as I'm looking. I can see it with my eyes, but when I'm looking at it on the screen here, it's not nearly as obvious. Hello, Hannah Hanurt. Well, that's pretty funny. Mac is doing exactly the same thing. He's hanging out in his lockout. Oh, I see he's still eating, actually. And those vultures are intimidating him, so I'm going to see if I can run them off. Come on. Come on. Sorry about the running. My stick broke right in front of me. Okay, now that we've had that little run through the sanctuary. Good morning. Hey, Angie. hate those vultures. The cage is going from up there, where you see the ramp, and through here, and through here are Lovey and Thurston. There's some water on the outside, a little bit on the inside. Hey, sweetheart. Good morning, Lovey. Keeping your feet dry. Was that fun? Did you think that was fun, me chasing those vultures? You would like to do that? You can see her den is higher than the ground around it. And of course they can always get on top of the dens. All right, Julian says she wants to see what I look like after running. Hi, everybody. I'm out of breath. I'm the old fat lady running through the sanctuary trying to make sure the cats are not intimidated by the vultures. Love you guys. I really do love you guys. You make all of this possible. Yeah, there goes another vulture. Oh, got the camera turned the wrong way. Goodness. All right, where's this cat? Tiger Lily and Little Dove. There's Tiger Lily. Tiger Lily and Little Dove are both over here. Tiger Lily. 21-year-old Tiger Lily. Hi. Good morning. And that's actually Little Dove over there. But you can see how her den is up higher than the ground around it. And even the ground around it's pretty dry. Even though it's very wet out here where we peoples are. That's why I wear Crocs. I love my rubber shoes because they are always wet. Oh, there she is. Hi, Tiger Lily. Way up on your hill. Good morning, gorgeous. Yeah. Julian, you ask, when's the rainy season in Tampa? It's like, when is it not the rainy season? It doesn't rain as much in the winter, which means it might rain once a week, but the rest of the year it's like every day it rains some. It's only when we have tropical storms and hurricanes that we get 5 to 10 inches all at one time, and so it takes a while. Oh, this is treacherous. It takes a while to sink into the aquifer. But everybody should be very happy when it rains because it does replenish our aquifer so that we all have water to drink. This chain is down. The chain here is not for the public. I'm back behind the barricades inside the cat areas. I'm not in the cage with the cats, but where the keepers go to clean the cages. And we have a shirt system here. So the cats on this side are red shirt cats, bobcats, little cats. And the cats on this side are cougars, which are yellow shirt cats. So if a red shirt is walking around, there are new people. They might not know the area as well as they should and get turned around in here. But if they come up to this yellow chain, they know, oop, stop right there. Don't go any closer because they can't go anywhere near the cougars. And we've just been moving a bunch of cougars around. So we've got these chains down right now in some of the areas where there are no longer cougars. Hi, Mac. You going to go inside your den now? Mac didn't finish his breakfast, but at least he got more of it than he would if the vultures had been hanging around him. I'm going to leave the area so you can come back and eat. He doesn't trust me. I see you down there, Tonga. Tonga's the white serval you see in the background. And actually, is he in the tunnel? Or is he in his cage? I guess he's in his cage. A lot of these cages are connected by tunnels. So this is Pharaoh's cage. And you can see he's got a nice big hill. He's got a platform. And then he's got a big concrete den. And he can get up on top of that if he wants, or he can go inside. You guys can see the hole into the inside. It's all right, Pharaoh. I'm not coming that way. But then there's this great tunnel. And it takes him back to another whole set of cages, just like those. He just wants to be right out of sight. And I'm going to let him do that. So he's got another big caved in here. More platforms on this side. Another area with a tree stump type den. People always ask, where can I get those? They're just like those ugly ass igloo dog dens that you can get at any pet store. And they were available like back in the 90s from the same company, but they haven't made them since the 90s. So I'm glad they have lasted as long as they have, because I can't replace them. And I really hate those dog glue looking things. I would have thought it'd be very popular because it's so natural looking. You know, you'd like to have a nice big tree stump in your backyard instead of an igloo. How many of us have igloos in our backyard? This is Gilligan's enclosure. I don't see Gilligan, but he can actually go up inside that rock, which is an air-conditioned freezer box. Or he has this area over here. And I'm sorry, a minute ago I think I referred to him as Tonga, because I see people talking about Tonga and Pharaoh. That's actually Pharaoh. Pharaoh has a nose. Tonga does not have a nose. Tonga has just celebrated 4 years cancer-free after having to have his nose removed from a skin cancer. Levy, you said, where am I right now? I'm on the tour path between Gilligan and Pharaoh at Big Cat Rescue in Tampa, Florida. And what I'm doing is going around checking on all the cats to make sure that they've all got nice high dry places after all that rain yesterday. According to the weatherman, we're going to get slammed again this afternoon. So I wanted to make sure that part of what was out here standing yesterday has been able to sink in to know that we're going to be able to make it through another onslaught. Hi, Skipper. This is Gilligan's enclosure again over here. He's got 2 of those big sections, and then Skipper has 2 big sections. And he also has access to a den inside that big rock freezer box with the air conditioner. Hi, somebody's looking all wet. Have you been out in it? Good morning. There's Apache. Hey, Apache. Who's my good bobcat? Are you my good bobcat? Would you come out here? Would you come out here? He's not sure about this thing I'm holding. The cats finally get used to me carrying carrying my camera, my iPhone around in front of my face all the time. But then I put it on this stable cam stick and they're like, that looks different. Yes, you are such a good bobcat. Thank you for coming over. You make me so happy. You gonna pee on me? It's like, I love you. Let me pee on you. Let me mark you as mine. Apache lives in here with Divinity, and most of our cats have to be separated at breakfast time, so they might be separate right now. But you can see he's got nice dry areas to tromp around in, and he's got that den back there and a big hill. And he's got, the two of them back here have 4 cages. You want to show us your cages? You going to walk with me if I go? Will you come with me? Yeah, he is beautiful. You're so beautiful. Everybody says you're beautiful. They're sending you hearts. So nice of them to send you love. Oh, there's Divinity. She's having her after breakfast bath. Let's see if I can zoom in on her. This is my favorite time of the day, right after the cats eat. A lot of people like to watch the cats eat. What I like to watch is all of their after breakfast baths. I just love that. This is another part of that same cage. And then you can see the little tunnel that goes across. And then this is another section of their enclosure. Those guys were born in 1995, so they're 21 years old. Across the street is Jojo. He just recently moved up to this area. You can see his den is up there, nice and high and dry. You can see water standing between him and Ariel, but then as soon as you see Ariel's cage, you'll notice that it's dry. Hey, Jojo. Just showing off your cage, son. So do you guys see him up on top of the hill in the ferns? He is loving that, because that way he can be up high and kind of secluded so that he can watch everybody from under the ferns. He seems to think that's really cool. And then he's got a den there. Those dens are 8 feet by 10 feet and 8 feet by 12 feet inside. They're huge, and they are 4-inch concrete reinforced with rebar. Oh, did you come around to the front? So Apache came out to the front here. Hi! He was a fur farm rescue. For those of us who don't know us, for those of you who don't know us, that was how the sanctuary got started. It started with the rescue of a single bobcat named Windsong in 1992, who was being sold at an auction to a taxidermist who was going to club her in the head and turn her into a den decoration. But we rescued her, brought her to Tampa, and that was the first thing that opened my eyes to the fact that these animals were being used in such a way. And so the following year, 1993, we rescued 56 cats, bobcats and lynx. That's a lynx right there, that's Apollo, from a fur farm in Minnesota. They were going to be slaughtered for their fur. The next year, 28 bobcats and lynx, and the final year, 22 bobcats and lynx from another fur farm. And the agreement that we made was we would take every cat they had, as long as they didn't kill cats again for their fur. And so far, they have always held good to that. Those fur farms are now out of business. We were trying to do the same thing in Canada, and that's where Apollo came from. And that was back in 1997. Good morning. How are all the cats on your route so far?
Very picky. A lot of them didn't want to eat this morning, but for the most part, they were good.
I saw yesterday on the charts a lot of them didn't eat because it was raining, so I really thought everybody'd be hungry today. I'm surprised they're all...
No, we had 6 cats on Sunday that completely refused, so...
Wow.
Have to go back out again today.
That's MC. MC's one of our interns. I'm not following you. I'm going back to my cart. It's like, oh man, now the pressure's on. Give a critique of my cleaning skills. So what she was carrying was a scraper pole. We pull the poop and old used food and everything over to the side of the cage wall, and then pull it out with barbecue tongs and put it in those buckets. Oh yeah, you would see me there. Hi! This is Moses and Bailey's cage, and I'm about to add another 1,200 square feet onto their enclosure. They are the first cats that you see when you come out of the backyard area, which is where our guests queue up for their guided tours. People can't just walk around here. It's not a zoo. It has to be a guided tour where we spend an hour and a half talking to them about all the reasons why these cats don't belong in cages. Hey, Bailey. I am being so thoroughly ignored by her, which is fine. Her prerogative. And then over there, I don't know if you can see him, right where the post comes down to the ground, behind in the grass, that's Moses. And then they have this breezeway where they can go from one cage to the other. Well, thank you for the compliments on my golf cart. I was like one of the last people out here to have a golf cart, and my father bought it for me. He bought one for my mother, one for me, one for Jamie. That did not come out of the sanctuary funds. And then Jamie, for my birthday, 2 years ago, I still have the tag on there, put the spots on it for me. So that was really sweet of her. She's very artistic. This is full of water, but at the end of the tours, we bring people to this little spot here, which is about the size of a parking space, and that is the size Florida says you can keep 2 adult tigers in for their entire life. So if you were to extrapolate just the size of 2 500-pound tigers in that spot, it would be like you spending your entire life in a cage like that. Another way to kind of get a mental picture of what that is, my husband often uses the description of saying, if you were to take your domestic cat and put it in your pet carrier, like you take the cat to the vet in, and had the cat live in that for its entire life, that's about the same, pound for pound, that these guys are suffering in captivity. And those are Florida standards. Florida has, believe it or not, more humane standards as far as cage sizes than any other state. So most places, they don't even have that much. This is King Tut. He's on the observation charts every day because he has a neurological issue, and so he has to be fed 2 or 3 times a day. And then if you can see that white cat back in the background, that's Tonga. And then there is a squirrel on top of Ariel's cage, just taunting her, saying, "Come and get me. You can't get me." I wouldn't bet on that. She's pretty fast. Lots of water out here where we are, but nice and dry where the cats are. There's a couple more keepers out on their morning rounds. That's Marie in the green shirt training Brianna, one of our new interns. Well, you're thanking me for the enclosures, but my father is the one who built all of these enclosures. And he just passed away last week on his birthday, his 75th birthday. But every time I see these cats enjoying their space, he lives on. Hey, Anasazi. Anasazi's picking her way through her damp enclosure. It's damp, but not full of water, huh? You want to come over and say hello to everybody? Rah? Rah? No? Usually she's a big talker. You gonna go get Will? Will won't come. She has this enclosure here, up to, if you can see that platform in the back. And then if you see that dog den on the far side, that's theirs too. That big grassy area over there. there's a concrete den here in the front, and then behind it is another concrete den in the other side. Let's see if we can see TJ and Hoover. Not that tigers would care about the water. They really love it when there's surface water because they can just lay in it, cool off. Their enclosure, you can see them live 24/7 on that webcam that's hanging on the catwalk back there. It points into the lake where they come down to swim. Excuse me. TJ! Who's a good boy? So because of all of the rain that we've had, he's locked in his roofed area. If I'm going to be able to see him from the other side, I'll try, but whoop, I'm blocking the road. I guess I will try. Hi! You get out of the way. Holding up progress here. Did I give you enough room?
Recycling out here doing this. This is what we do.
We recycle.
Yep. At least he's not pouting like Hoover is.
Hoover pouting.
He was so mad all day. He's like, I want to go out there. And we're like, but you have to stay safe. He
loves to swim in the rain.
He just wants to go around. He was.
Oh gosh.
But he talked to me, so maybe
that's okay.
I can't be mad when he's talking to me.
Hi, TJ. I know, you're all locked up, huh? That noise he's making is chuffing. That's hello, Tiger Talk for hello, how are you? You can see he's got a roofed area up here at the front. And he'll be locked in there until the storm is gone. And then he's got that big open air area where he can go down and swim at the lake, but he's locked away from there. Probably for the next day. Maybe 2. Still, his roofed area is far larger than anywhere else. Just about anywhere else. There's Hoover. Hoover has this den. That hole on the end is so that we can give him his meds when he won't come out of the den. And then he's sleeping down there, and he's got a second area over there under roof. And then his open air cage is all of that area back behind there, and it goes down to the lake so that he can swim. If you go to explore.org/bigcatrescue on Tiger Lake, that's where you can watch him usually down there swimming. Anytime it rains, he's always down there swimming. He loves to swim in the rain. That's why he's mad that he can't go out there right now. Oh, Madison, thank you. We're in a contest right now where we could win $5,000 for our foster kitten program. We don't do any breeding at the sanctuary because no sanctuary breeds cats. And we don't allow anybody to touch the cats. Good morning, Karma. You're live on Facebook.
Oh, hi, Facebook. I'm glad to see you were talking to Facebook instead of the air.
Yeah. Okay. I guess it does look weird when I'm walking around talking to my camera. We don't allow anybody to touch the cats here because it's dangerous. It could cause somebody to lose a limb or their life. And it's rude. These guys are hardwired to be apex predators. They don't want us putting our filthy mitts on them. they would never allow that in the wild, and we try to give them as natural a life as possible if they can't go free, and they can't go free. You can read more about that at bigcatrescue.org/go free, but essentially if they aren't born in the wild, they can't go to the wild, and they don't serve any kind of conservation value if they're born in cages. So what we do is we foster domestic cat kittens, and we're like 1 or 2 kittens away from hitting 400 kittens that we've been able to help since 2013 with that program. We work with the Humane Society of Tampa Bay. Shout out to Humane Society of Tampa Bay. I love you guys. This is part of our memorial wall. And they send us kittens who have been orphaned, or mothers who have newborn kittens who would get sick and die in a shelter type environment. And our interns keep them with them at night in the houses. We have 10 houses on or around the sanctuary for interns and volunteers. And then during the day, they come out to the kitten cabana, which is this building coming up over here. And in the kitten cabana, they are played with by all of our volunteers and handled a lot so that they are very adoptable when it comes time. Good morning, Joe. This is Max and Mary Ann's cage. They are right on the side of the lake. There's some of our youngest cats. Sanctuaries almost never is what I'm trying to say. Sanctuaries almost never. I was having a double negative there that just wasn't working. Wow, you can really see how the waters come up here. Sanctuaries almost never have kittens or cubs, and the reason for that is that the people who breed them for life in cages find them to be very lucrative while they're kittens and cubs. But as soon as they start becoming who they really are, which is predators, then they get rid of them. And they often will give them away to people as pets, as inappropriate as that is. And then those people can't get rid of them fast enough. Hello! You're on Facebook.
I was trying to avoid the camera.
Nowhere to hide. I'm walking around the cage looking for Max and Mary Ann. They have 2 of those big concrete dens. And then they have this open yard. Well, not open air, but not so many trees and bushes. I'll bet they're down here on their platform. I see a bobcat. I do. I see 2 bobcats. You guys are precious. All right, can you guys see them? That's Max laying on his side, and Mary Ann peeking over his back. Mary Ann! Max is really bad about reaching out and grabbing anything that I try to put near him, so I may have to pull this camera away pretty quickly. There he is. So the people who exploit the cubs often will give them away to people as pets, and nobody is prepared for a cat that's going to pee all over their house and get to be 500 pounds in the next couple of years. And so that's when we get a call asking us to bail them out of their stupid decisions. I'm going to walk around the fence here. See tigers up there. There's 6 enclosures all along the lakeside there. Those are all tigers. I think there's 3 tigers in there right now. 1, 2, 4 tigers in 6 cages. Each cage is about 1,200 to 1,800 square feet. And they have those pools that recirculate into the lake. And those pumps are powered by the solar panels there. We've got bird feeders all over the place so that the cats have lots of birds to watch. When I was running around through the middle of the sanctuary, I ran through there, but there's Angie back there in the background. And this is Breezy's enclosure. I didn't see Breezy earlier. But she's got this cage and the cage behind her. Oh, there she is, way back there. So, I'm going to try and rest this on my chest and see. Can you guys see her way back there? There's Breezy. She's got probably 3,000 square feet of space. I think the kittens are not in the kitten cabana today because of the threat of rain. So they stayed home with the interns. Because it's a big screened area, it gets pretty wet in there. They have that cool cat cave, and it's got a little pet door. So when it does rain, they can go inside. Or if it gets just too bloody hot, they can go in there. It's air conditioned in there, or heated in the winter. But they'll slop around in the rain, so we just didn't want them getting all soggy wet and decided to leave them home today. Ken Burke is talking about how all of our volunteer force is women, and that has always been the case. I'd say we are about 99%, maybe even more, female. And there's a few reasons for that. Some I know, some I don't know. The ones I know are women seem to just be more nurturing in general. So we attract people who want to take care of animals and who have a lot of love in their heart to give. And I always tell men, man, if you want to find yourself the perfect woman, you should come to Big Cat Rescue and meet our volunteers. Be part of the volunteer program, because those women give everything to these cats. They give their blood, sweat, and tears to making sure that these guys are fed and dry, and that they get enrichment, and that they take their meds every day. And what better qualities could you hope for in a mate than that? But typically what we see is that it's mostly women here. When men do come, we try, we're not being biased. We are an equal opportunity volunteer operation, and we consider applications from male interns and male volunteers as equally as we do to female, even though we get far less of them. But it's been my experience that the vast majority of them just are lazy. And the few men that you see out here working, those are the ones who really are amazing and who have really put themselves out there for the cats. But most of them don't last any time at all. And maybe it's just because they're here to look for a date and not really caring about the animals. But I think another reason why women are frequently the ones who are taking care of animals at sanctuaries are because they may be able to have a man at home who is supporting them and making it possible for them to dedicate so much of their lives to the cats. I don't know of any situation where there is a woman working at home supporting a man so that he can come out here and volunteer. It may have happened, but I've never been aware of it. That cat who was just limping back there, if you couldn't see her closely because she was a good distance away, that's Desiree. She only has 3 legs. She was found that way in Arizona. Servals are native to Africa, but she was found in Arizona, laying alongside the road. Hi, Riza! Riza! Rah! 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 Oh, you're such a talker. Rah! I love the way she talks. Desiree was found alongside the highway, and people thought she had been hit by a car, and then they realized that she only had 3 legs, and clearly it had not happened from a car wreck. It had been surgically removed and healed over a long time before she was dumped. And a 3-legged cat limping the way she limps did not escape from anywhere. So it had to be somebody didn't want her anymore and just threw her out to fend for herself in Arizona. she was in the paper there for weeks, and nobody came forward to claim her. So we told the Department of Wildlife there that we would give her a permanent home, and she's been with us for several years. We've had 2 3-legged cats here, I think, over the years. Can't think of any others. Well, everything looks good. We have seen just about everybody, I think. If we haven't seen the cat, we've certainly seen the cage and the conditions. So I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to drive back to my office, and I'm going to try and take any last minute questions that you guys have as I drive. So if I didn't answer your question before, please put them in the comment section here right now. Madison, that's wonderful that your husband helps you with your feral cats. That is absolutely marvelous. Shout out to everybody there who has a 3-legged cat at home. Alexis asked, what is my favorite animal? And I would say it's the bobcat. I don't have a favorite cat, but the species is my favorite. And the reason they're my favorite is that they are the most versatile, and their personalities are the most complex, I think. I think leopards are the smartest. Tigers are the easiest going, but bobcats are just, they're vicious, and I just love that about them. They're just so tough. Thank you. We will stay safe. Everybody who's wishing that we stay safe, we will do everything we can to make sure these guys stay dry. Ooh, our land bridge is underwater. Good morning, Julia. Becky asked if the cats catch other critters very often. Wow, everything got really dark all of a sudden. Yes, they frequently catch squirrels and birds and snakes and frogs and lizards, and a lot of those critters give them different kinds of parasites. So our cats are wormed monthly with ivermectin and quarterly with Panicure, but then the kind of liver flukes and crud they catch from the live things that they manage to capture require that they have drawn sit periodically if we catch them acting like they don't feel well. Oh, what a sleepy Zabu. We do not have a problem with alligators because the entire lake out there is on our property, and there are some underwater caverns because they hit a spring, but they're not big enough for alligators. And there are like an underground area that goes off to Rocky Creek, but we have a grate over that so that alligators can't come up the grate. Sometimes out on the trail where I ride my bike to work, it's on the other side of that wall over there, if you can see the wall on the far side of the lake. Sometimes there's alligators actually on the trail, which is creepy, but not on our side. I know, she's so sleepy. I see sleepiness up on top of the dens back there. Colby Cox, we are thinking that we are not currently in the path of Tropical Storm Hermine. It says hi. The weatherman says that it will hit up in what they call the Big Bend, which is that area of Florida that kind of goes at a bend. I don't know why everything is so dark all of a sudden. That big curve, you know how Florida kind of looks like a gun? They're saying that it's going to hit right in the middle of that curve, which is way north of us. So it looks like we're going to be okay. Renee, we have a lot of ways that handicapped people can help us. If you go to bigcatrescue.org, up at the top, there is a section called Get Involved, and there might be something there that you might be able to help us with, which would be awesome. As far as cleaning cages, you have to be able to lift 60 pounds of cat poop. So that's a bit of a struggle even for me anymore. Taylor asked if Mrs. Claus and Spirit Feather, the baby bobcat, can be put together. Right now they're in cages side by side, but we're having to watch Spirit Feather very closely, although she's hiding mostly right now, to make sure she doesn't pick up any bad habits from Ms. Claus. Mrs. Claus came here with a brain injury, and we had really hoped that once her outside wounds had healed and she had some time away from people and some experience with Mr. Claus, who was a nice wild bobcat, that she would learn how to be a bobcat, but she never quite got it. And she did a lot of things that would have gotten her killed in the wild. If you go to bigcatrescue.org/the-claws, the-claws, THE-claws, I posted a video of her going up to a pack of raccoons on the outside of her cage, like, hey, I want to be your friend. And they would have torn her limb from limb if she had done that in the wild. So she just doesn't have the good sense that a bobcat needs to survive. And we tried for many, many months everything you can imagine to teach her to be a wild bobcat, and nothing worked because she's just special in the head. So the FWC came out, they looked at her, and they were like, yeah, she wouldn't last 5 minutes. So they said we could go ahead and add her to our population here. Tracy, our oldest cat, we saw him earlier in this walkabout, is Saber, and he is 24 years old. We've had some extraordinarily old cats here. One was a cougar who was 1 month shy of being 30. His name was Scratch. We've had a number of tigers that have lived to be 25, 26. Some bobcats that have lived to be that old as well. Juliet, the 2 tigers who live down there on Tiger Lake can go swimming. And then across the way here, if you can see, that's not just flooding. There actually is a little pond in the middle of that enclosure over there. It's a 2.5 acre enclosure. All of our lions and tigers get a 2-week vacation out there, and they can go swimming if they want. Taylor, I don't think I answered your question. So, no, we probably will not put Spirit Feather in the cage with Mrs. Claus. And the reason is because Mrs. Claus is kind of special, and she can kill an animal, but she can't seem to recognize the difference between a prey animal and your friend. So she got into a huge battle with Mr. Claus when we tried to put them together that nearly got her killed. And I'm not sure I want to go through trying that out again with Spirit Feather. I don't think it's going to be worth it. Tiger's favorite enrichment. It depends on the cat. Each cat has different things they like best. Some like the popsicles best. Those are made out of blood or tuna. So the tuna ones they call tunasicles, and sometimes they put sardines in them and call those sardini martinis. Or they have just the regular bloodsickles, and all of the cats pretty much love those. Some of them like boxes, some like balls, some like perfume, some like catnip, different spices like cinnamon. So they're all very different. But the people who hand out the enrichment, they always keep a chart on the cats so they know what the cats like best and try to make sure that they always get a variety of things to try, but that they always get some of their favorite stuff too. Yeah, we hope all the ferals and all of you with your own pets, and all of you without pets. I can't imagine anybody on this chat that doesn't have a pet, but if you're in Florida, our hope is that you will be safe. David, you asked how you could help with solar. It doesn't actually help us. Other than the fact that it helps the environment, which is a great thing. So we partner with Arcadia Power, and that's available in most parts of the country. And what they do is they charge you like an extra 25 cents a month on your electric bill, but all of your electricity is provided through green means instead of dirty coal. So if you go to arcadia.com and get yourselves hooked up with them, that's a great thing that you can do for the environment. All of our power comes from Arcadia, and all of my rental properties, all of the rental properties that we've set up for the sanctuary, all of them partner with Arcadia so that we are completely off the grid. Yeah, Joseph's like, I'm going to sleep now. If you stop talking, I'll go to sleep. Vicky lions are just grumpy. Joseph is one of the grumpiest. And Nurag, we never have cubs here because there's no reason to breed cats for life in a cage. That's like breeding people for life in prison. That's just wrong. And so no legitimate sanctuary has cubs, with very rare exceptions. So like Spirit Feather is a kitten because she was orphaned in the wild, and she's here for rehab, and then she'll be released back to the wild. But no place that has a constant stream of cute little cuddly cubs is doing right by those animals, because they either are breeding them themselves, or they're buying them, or they're allowing people who are exploiting them to use them as a dumping ground so that they can buy and breed more, which just keeps that problem going. He is awesome. El Marie Melendez, if you go to Joseph's story, you can read about how he was rescued from a terrible woman who declawed all of her cats and defanged everybody but Joseph, and then used them for people to pay to have their pictures made with them. And it was a terrible situation in Ohio. You can read more about his story at bigcatrescue.org/Joseph. And I see somebody, probably Luana, just posted his link here in the chat. We agree, Maimuna, they do not belong in cages, and you can help us put an end to cats in cages by going to your member of Congress right now at bigcatact.com and asking them to champion the Big Cat Public Safety Act. We got it all written out for you there. And also, if you make a call while you're there, that has so much more power than just sending an email. So when you type in your zip code, it'll bring up who your legislators are, and it'll have the email all ready for you to send. It's better if you change the email, at least change the heading with a little bit of customization from yourself so they don't treat it like a form letter. And then it'll also bring up their phone numbers. So if you call them, that's even better. Yes, Valerie, Joseph goes on vacation too. When Joseph goes on vacation, he usually gets an extended vacation because he doesn't go through the tunnel like everybody else does. He takes his time. So he might have access for several more days than most of the other cats because he just refuses to go. Arifin, we do not have any Asiatic lions. All of the lions and tigers in sanctuaries are crossbred and inbred. Anytime you see a white tiger or white lion, you know it's severely inbred. So none of the cats that are in private hands serve any kind of conservation value, and that's why we need to pass the Big Cat Public Safety Act, which would ban the private possession of these animals. It won't take away anybody's cats. Nobody's going to lose their pets, inappropriate as that may be, but they can't buy or breed more, so it'll at least stop the abuse, and in 20 years, all of those cats will have died of old age, and then there won't be any more cats born in backyards and basements. Beth, I did a page called bigcatrescue.org/solitary, and it talks about why lions, even though they live in groups in the wild, those are all family prides. It's not, you can't just take another lion and put them in with them and have them be happy about that. Well, Joseph has turned his back on us. I'm scrolling through the last of the questions here. Well, you are quite welcome. It's been my pleasure to bring this to you. He is beautiful. Yeah, I'd love to cuddle him too, but that would be the last thing I ever did. And you know, even if I had the choice, like when these cats are sedated for the vet, people always say, now is your chance, you can pet them, you can kiss them. And I don't do it because I feel like it's just wrong. They wouldn't let me do it if they were awake, so I'm not going to do it while they're asleep. Well, thank you, Renee. That's good to know. You know, most people just have no idea. Becky, that is an awesome challenge of describing each breed of cat with one word, but I don't think I could think of that off the top of my head like this. David Fuchs says, is that how you say it, Fuchs? You're right. We absolutely do want to put ourselves out of business because there shouldn't have to be a need for a place to rescue animals from being abused. For goodness sake, we need to just stop the abuse. You can do that at bigcatact.com. And if you're not from this country and can't weigh in on that, we have some others that you can. Go to catlaws.com. And at catlaws.com, you can find a lot of other animal issues that we are supporting. Cat issues. Somebody asked how old Joseph is. He was born in 1998, so he is 18. In fact, he just had a birthday not too long ago. Yes, Nadine, he's the only lion in these 3 cages, so he's got about 3,600 square feet of space, at least. Alexis, I have been hurt on the job, and mostly I get hurt on cage wire, because those little sharp, pointy things get stuck in your skin as you're trying to go through doors. But my worst scars are from breaking up bobcat fights. TJ, Cameron, and Joseph are only eating about 5 pounds a day, but they sleep all day, so it's not terrible for them, given how hot it's been, and then with all of the rain. He likes his keepers. I'm just never the person here with anything good. Kathy, I do hope you'll visit us. Susan or Suzanne, yeah, they know their names. They're just like your cats at home, though. They don't respond unless you have something they want. Well, that's sad about those lynx in a 10 by 10 cage, but that's typical. Okay, I think I finally made it to the end of the list. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. Please, if you haven't done it, or even if you have, I contact my member of Congress every week. Every week! And my particular member, Kathy Castor, is a co-sponsor, but I contact all of the members of Congress every week, and I send them a postcard reminding them to champion the Big Cat Public Safety Act. It's something that everybody can agree on. Everybody can agree that these guys don't belong in backyards and basements. It just has to rise up to the level of importance that they actually have a hearing on it. Once they have a hearing on it and vote on it, I know it's going to be a unanimous vote in favor of ending the private possession of these cats, but it has to be considered by their aides to be important enough to bring up for a vote. So that's why we need you just constantly calling, emailing, writing, sending postcards to your member of Congress, asking them to champion the Big Cat Public Safety Act. All of the details that you need for those letters, all the language and bill numbers and everything else is at bigcatact.com.